Hello everyone, Chap79 here on Mustin07's channel. In today's lesson we are going to learn how to script custom items and add special effects to them. We'll be using Denizen Script again. You should review the Denizen Beginner's Guide and set up your testing server before watching this video. Let's get started making Thor's hammer. The first thing we need to do is write an item script to create the item in our game. This won't add any effects to it yet, but it will make it a craftable item. So we'll start out, we'll call it Thor's hammer. And the type is going to be an item script. The material that we want to make it out of is, how about a netherite axe? That seems to make sense to me. And then we're going to add a mechanism to make it unbreakable. True. And then let's put a name on it. It's called display name. How about Milner? And then we'll add some lore to it as well. Thor's hammer. And then we'll add an enchantment ending. It's called enchantments. And then how do we make it? We want this to be a craftable item, so we have to add a recipe to it. So the first recipe is going to be a type shaped recipe, which means that you have to put blocks in a particular slot in a crafting table, like most recipes you're familiar with in vanilla. And the input will be, let's call it a netherite block. Very expensive to craft this. And another netherite block. And then you can't leave empty spaces, so we'll call that next one air. And then how about another netherite block here? So this is taking on the shape of it's a vanilla axe, but we're using netherite blocks and sticks instead of the other materials that you're familiar with. There, something like that. And now we need to add another input, another recipe input as well, because we want players to be able to shift this over in their crafting table, and it still is going to craft the axe. So it'll be the same, basically. There we go. Those are our recipes to craft our new item. Let's see what these errors are up here. Oh, this is plural, that's why it won't pop up. There, okay, so everything looks good. Now if we go into the game, we should be able to craft this item, though it's not going to do anything special for us. The game is just going to read it as a netherite axe until we add some special effects. The next thing we need to do is add our event script, which will tell our Thor's hammer when it's going to do its special effects. So we'll call this the Thor's hammer handler. And its type is going to be a world script, which is basically an event script. And debug, I always like to have that on the handlers so that I can watch it run through the console and see if there's any issues. The events that we're going to have the script look for are on player right clicks a block. Now, air counts as a block, so this basically says anytime the player right-clicks, we're going to run this set of commands. But we want it to only work with Thor's hammer. Now, because Thor's hammer, we wrote it up here. Whenever a player holds that item, then it's going to run through this event script. So we're going to have it look for monsters, and then it's going to strike lightning upon those monsters. So we'll use a for each loop for that. So for each player location, so the game looks for where I'm standing, we're going to find entities, and we only want to kill bad guys with this, so we're going to call the entities monster, which this script engine recognizes monsters as any hostile mob. And we're going to say not everywhere in the game, but within 30 blocks of my location, we'll find these monsters. And then we're going to save this definition as monsters. And then for each one that the script finds, we're going to strike them with lightning. So we say who we're looking for. Again, we're looking for that definition monsters that we just defined. And we're going to hit their location. And just to have a better effect, we're going to tell it to hit the location above them, because the location is actually where the feet are. We're going to go above 1 square, so it'll be closer to the middle of that monster's mass. And that's it. Our script would work just fine like this. But we're going to add a little safety here, and we're going to say there's no damage that's done by the strike. And the reason for that is because lightning strikes have collateral damage, and we don't want to kill anything other than the particular monster that we're striking. So we're going to strike the monsters with lightning so we get the effect of lightning, but it's not going to do any damage. So we're going to go back in and artificially create the damage by using the burn command. So we'll set fire to the monsters, and we're going to burn them for a duration of 5 seconds. That sounds about right. And then we also need to injure them as if they were struck by lightning, but again, no collateral damage by doing it this way. So we're going to we're going to hit them with 12 damage. And again, who are we going to hit? We're going to hit the monsters. And we want to get credit for hitting it, so we'll call ourselves the source is going to be the linked player. And the linked player means the one that's written here in the event script on player right click. So whichever player it is that does the right clicking will be the source for this lightning strike. And then, since this is a for each, we're running through a list of every monster found within 30. We actually want a slight pause between each monster so we don't end up striking an infinite number of monsters instantly. So we're going to tell it, after you've run through this particular script, we're going to wait 0.4 seconds, and then we'll run through it again. So every 0.4 seconds, we're going to strike a new monster within 30 blocks of us. We'll see what these errors are. My indentation was incorrect, so I actually have to, tab all this over one, there, and that fixed the error. So this script will work for us just fine. Let's go test it out. We need to find some hostile mobs to kill, and here are a few. So I'm going to right-click with my Thor's hammer. Nice, it worked great. So it hit the hostile monsters, it left the mobs alone. It struck lightning, caused them to burn, damaged them, but there was no collateral damage. That's exactly what we want. Now let's go back and add a few more features. So we could run into a situation where we use our Thor's axe on a creeper, and that creeper becomes charged rather than dying. And players in a public server would definitely take advantage of that, and you'd see the abuse all over your server. So let's add in a safety feature to kill the creeper so that they cannot become charged. So we're going to distinguish between creepers and regular monsters. So we'll change this up here to look for creepers, creeper, and we're going to define it as creepers. So when we strike creepers, we'll still say no damage because we don't want the collateral damage. Burning them actually isn't necessary because we're going to kill them, so they wouldn't be on fire anyway. That's just an extra line that's not needed, so we'll delete it. And instead of hurting them 12, let's go well above what creepers have health-wise. Let's call it hurt them 40. So now they should instantly die when we strike them, and there's no way that they could become charged. And we want to make sure that this for each line is run before the next for each line, so that the creepers die first, and then we'll go through and look for other monsters that are remaining and strike them and hurt them only 12. Now we want to add another feature so that we aren't disrupting our players' mob farms, right? So people use zombies during their mob farms, and we don't want to accidentally kill the zombies that are being used in an iron farm, for example, inside a player's claim. So we have to protect those zombies that we need to protect. And so the way we'll do that is we'll add an exception, and we'll add that here in the monster for each loop. So we'll say that this script here can run just fine as long as the monsters are not zombies. So again, the exclamation mark there means not. So if not monsters, advanced matches, zombie. So if the monsters don't match zombie, then we can run this for each loop. If they do match zombie, then that's okay as long as it's not inside a claim. So we need to distinguish between zombies that are in someone's claim and zombies that are not in someone's claim. So we'll add another line. So if the monsters are zombies, let's get our spacing set up. Move the exclamation mark. So if they are zombies, then we need to determine if they're in a claim. So we'll start again with the not loop first. If our monsters location is in a grief prevention has claim. And this is Big Scary's grief prevention plugin, still works. So if they're not in a claim, then we can run through our script, which is this. So we'll just do a simple copy and paste and set our spacing. Now, if they are in a claim, since we haven't specified what to do with them, absolutely nothing will happen. The game will just skip over. Let's make sure our script works. So on the left side, I have zombies that are not in a claim, and on the right side, I have zombies that are in a claim. So when I right-click with my Thor's hammer, we see that only the zombies on the left side were struck, and everyone on the right side is safe. Let's add another safety catch to our script, and that's so that the script doesn't run forever. This Thor's hammer could really be abused at a mob farm. Let's say if you go to the end and there's like 1,000 Endermen that are spawned, and somebody right-clicked with their axe, this would just keep going forever, basically. So we need to have a limit to it. And the way we do that is with a loop index maximum. So it'll stop the for each loop if the script reaches this maximum. So we'll call it loop index. Oops, I forgot my brackets. That's what makes it a definition, and this is a built-in definition, so you don't have to define it yourself. If that index is greater than or equal to 10, then we're going to stop running that loop. And we'll do the same thing down here to our monsters and creepers. Just copy that and paste. There. Let's also add a limit on how many times the player can right-click with Thor's hammer in a given time. So we'll do that by setting a rate limit up here at the top, and that rate limit will apply to the player, and we'll call it 2 seconds. So if the player right-clicks without waiting 2 seconds after the first right-click, then the script will not run. It basically prevents your players from spam clicking. So this is your basic script. It's functional, and I think we'd be pretty happy with it, but let's spice it up just a little bit and add some special visual effects to make it prettier. So after the player right-clicks, we're going to have him glow, right? Because Thor glows, I think. I don't know. So we're going to add this effect called Cast Glowing, and we're going to apply that effect to the player, and we're going to have it last for, I don't know, 4 seconds. Sounds about right. So now our player will glow when he is striking lightning with Thor's hammer. Let's add a little bit more than that as well. Let's have some pretty particles pop up around the player. So we're going to use that player points. We're going to use play effect. And the effect we want to play is going to be redstone, because redstone dust makes that nice little red particle. And we'll have offset of 0, 0, 0. And we're going to do this at the player's location. Player.location. And what you saw when we first started this video was like a ring of particles that starts at the player's feet and moves up to his head as he's striking. So that's what we'll do here. So we'll start this at below the player at 0.3, so just below his feet. And the way you make the ring is you do points around Y. And our Y-axis is vertical, so if we do points around it, then that's going to be a horizontal ring. We can set the size of how big that ring is going to be with radius of, let's make it half a block radius. And you can set the number of points that are in that ring. The number of points really is going to be the smallest number where you still get a good visual effect, because every one of these is a particle that your script has to calculate on. So this could cause lag. So let's just call it 10. Yeah, we could make it 100 if we want to, but 10 is going to have a nice visual effect. Then we need to add our special data for a redstone effect, which you can find on the Denizen metadata page. The special data that we are looking for is going to be the size of the particle. So you can change the size of your redstone particle. We're going to call it 1, so that's the normal size. And then put in a pipe and a color that we want. So it doesn't have to be red. We can change it to, I don't know, lightning is, we'll call it yellow. And then we can even mix those colors too. So it's not just a pure yellow, but it'll be a yellow, and let's mix in some white as well. And we can set how far away we can see this effect. We can put visibility at, let's call it 25 blocks away. So anybody within 25 blocks of you will see this effect pop up. But that's just one ring. We need to add a bunch of different rings that start at your feet and move up. So we'll tell the script to wait for 1 tick, and then it's going to play another effect slightly higher. So what I'm going to do is copy this, and we'll paste it a few times. That looks like enough. Let's fix our tabs. And then let's determine where we want it to play. So the first one is below the feet. The second one's going to be right at the feet. And if remember, player location is at the feet, so we can just delete that qualifier. And then we want to start moving above feet. Above, let's just copy that all the way through. And then let's go up by 0.3 each time. So we're below 0.3, then we're at the feet, then we're above 0.3. So then 6, 9, math in my head, 1.2, and then 1.5, 1.8. Let's add one more because that's what I had in the example at the beginning. All the way up to 2.1. Good, so that'll give us the ring. And then we'll have the one more bolt that shoots out of Thor's head and goes up into the sky, thereby stimulating the lightning. That's going to be play effect. It's going to be the same. It'll be redstone, so we'll copy all this up to this point. And from here, so we're going to go from the player location above 0.2, and then we're going to do points between. Points between with a distance between those points. So what this means is from location above 2.1, and every point between up to, we'll call it player location above, how about 30? So it looks like it goes up into the sky at a distance of, this is a distance between each particle effect, we'll say 0.2. So that's going to be quite a few particles. We'll add our special data back in. Same visibility, same colors. We'll be fine. Now we're going to add an admin command so that we can give ourselves the hammer rather than needing to craft it every time. So we'll call this the Thor's hammer command. And this is going to be, if I can spell correctly, a command script. The name of this command script is, let's just call it hammer. And the description is going to be gives you Thor's hammer. And the usage is /hammer. And now to make sure that not everyone can use this command, we're going to set up a permission for it. The permission is whatever you want to put here is what the permission becomes. So I'm going to call it descript hammer get. And so then if I type that into LuckPerms, whoever has that permission will be able to use this command. And what this command will do is, space, give Thor's hammer. And that has to be typed exactly the way as our item script up here is typed. And that's it. So we'll type in our command, hammer. Ta-da, there it is. So we right-click with our Thor's hammer, saw the glow effect, saw the light. We didn't get the rings, so there's something wrong. We can go into, here's our console, and we have the debug option on so we can read everything that's happening. And we see some errors. Okay, so let's get to the top of the errors. Oh, there's a lot. Okay, error in script. We can see on line 33 with player chap 79 an invalid map key pair string radius of 0.5. So there's something wrong with our radius of 0.5 on line 33, and we can see it continues line 33, line 35, and then line 37. So that's going to be all of our rings most likely. So let's go back in and look. You can see line 33 play effect Indeed, that is the ring that we created. And the error is in my syntax. If you notice, I put a colon right here, and it should be an equal sign. So if we go through and change all of those, then it should work just fine. Let's go check it again. And right click, and there it is. That was much nicer. Let's move on. Not bad. Okay, there it is, Thor's hammer. Now you know how to make an item and how to add effects to that item. And Chaps out.